morning students. Once again I welcome you all on online classes of Jamna Christian Junior High School. I am your history teacher. Today students we will discuss chapter number 7. It is on page number 62, Rise of Vijayanagar and Bahmani Kingdoms. And the first topic is, chapter name is chapter 7, Rise of the Vijayanagar and Bahmani Kingdoms. First topic is disintegration of the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate reached the zenith of its power during the reign of Tughlaq dynasty. Yet this very dynasty sowed the seeds of its own destructions, which made the final collapse of Delhi Sultanate inevitable. The causes of disintegration of the Delhi Sultanate was as follows. First is the failure of Mahmud bin Tughlaq. Visionary schemes drained the treasury and depleted his government's resources. Second is agriculture and trade suffered a severe setback. Third, the misery, hardship and agony of people caused widespread resentment. Fourth is the army suffered heavy casualty and the prestige of the Sultan suffered a serious blow. Fifth is revolt broke out throughout the Turkish Empire. Independent and powerful kingdoms were established in the Deccan, Rajasthan, Bengal and Sindh. This dealt a body blow to the Tughlaq Empire and set in motion the process of its disintegration. Firoz Shah Tughlaq lacked the basic qualities of military commander. His weak foreign policy demoralized the army and encouraged the enemies of the Sultanate. Firoz Shah was a very kind ruler. His kindness towards corrupt officials and even criminals weakened the administration and sapped the vitality of the state. The death of Firoz Shah was followed by a civil war. Among his descendants, the choice was further compounded by the numerous revolts that broke out. One by one, the powerful governors of the province of the Tughlaq Empire declared their independence. Finally, the empire was reduced to only Punjab and the area around Delhi. The final blow to the Tughlaq dynasty was dealt by Amir Taimur, the Mughal ruler who invaded India in 1398 to 99 CE and mercilessly plundered Delhi. The last nail in the coffin of the Tughlaq dynasty has been hammered in. The sun had finally set on the Tughlaq Empire. The disintegration of the Tughlaq Empire saw the establishment of two independent and powerful kingdoms in the Deccan, the Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdoms. As the Sultanate broke up, North India was rocked by political turmoil and instability. In sharp contrast, South India enjoyed a period of stability and prosperity that lasted more than 200 years. Now the next topic is the Vijayanagar kingdom. Vijayanagar, the city of victory, was established in 1336 CE by two brothers Harihar I and Bukka Rai I on the bank of river Tungbhadra. The two brothers fought many wars with the neighboring states and brought the whole south of India from the river Tungbhadra to Cape Common under their control. The Vijayanagar kingdom was ruled by 16 kings. It was one of the most powerful Indian kingdoms that lasted for about 230 years. Next topic is Krishna Dev Rai. The greatest ruler of the Vijayanagar kingdom was Krishna Dev Rai from 1509 to 30 CE. During his reign, the Vijayanagar kingdom reached the height of its glory and established itself as the strongest military power in South India. Krishna Dev Rai was a brilliant military general. He won a series of outstanding victories and extended the boundaries of the kingdom. He annexed the Raichu Doab, the penal bone of contention between the Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdoms. Krishna Dev encouraged foreign trade with the Portuguese, who had established trade centers on the Malabar coast. He earned rich revenue by imposing custom duties and taxes on them. He took active steps to promote agriculture. He also developed irrigation facilities by building dams and canals. Krishnadev Rai was a great patron of art and literature. He was a fine Telugu poet and a Sanskrit scholar as well. He maintained a magnificent court and encouraged poets and learned men. Krishnadev Rai was a great builder also. Many beautiful temples and impressive mansions were built during his reign. The most outstanding of these were the Vithala Swami temple and Hazar Rama temple. With the passing away of Krishnadev Rai, the glory and power of great Vijayanagar kingdom faded away. His successors were weakened and incompetent. In 1565, during the reign of Rama Rai, the five kingdoms of Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Berar, Golconda and Bidar formed an alliance and inflicted a crushing defeat on the Vijayanagar kingdom in the Battle of Talikota. This battle sounded the death knell of the Hindu kingdom in the south. The splendid capital city of Vijayanagar was burned, plundered and ravaged the victories. The Vijayanagar kingdom survived by the crushing blow and continued to exist till the beginning of the 17th century. It never managed to regain its reformer power and glory. Now the next point is achievements of the Vijayanagar kingdom. First is administration. In administration, central government is the first topic. The king was the head of the administration. He was an absolute ruler and his will was the law. He was worshipped by the people and as God's representative on earth. A council of ministers chosen him, assisted him in administration. Now the next point is provincial government. The empire was divided into 6 provinces, Raj and Mandalam. Each provinces were placed under the charge of a governor who was responsible for the administration of that province. The provinces were divided into district, Nedu, and each district consisted of a number of villages, Gram. Next topic is village administration. Village administration. The village was at the bottom rung of the administrative ladder. The old feudal system was revived and officers governed the village. The post of these officers was hereditary. Students, on page number 64, you have to draw this in your classwork copy. Okay? Now, the next topic is economic conditions. Vijayanagar was one of the wealthiest kingdom in 15th and 16th century CE. The development of agriculture and the promotion of trade and commerce enriched its treasury. Its two main sources of revenue were taxes on the land and trade. The land tax varied from 1/3 to 1/6 of the produce depending on the quality of the land, which was assessed before the tax and levy. Forests were cleared and more land was brought under cultivation. Tanks, canals and dams were built for irrigation. Flourishing trade enriched the kingdom. The markets of Vijayanagar overflowed with foreign imports and Sri Lankan elephants. The main item of export were cotton cloth, sandalwood, rice, sugar and spices. Next topic is society. Society. The Vijayanagar rule revived the ancient Vedic customs. Thus, there was no major social and cultural change during their reign. The society was conservative and governed by religious norms. The caste system was rigid. Brahmana were powerful and were held in high esteem. Women in general were respected by they did not have much freedom. Child marriage and sati were common practice. A few upper class women, however, occupied a high position in society and participated in social, literary and even political life also. Now the next topic is religious tolerance. Religious tolerance. The Vijayanagar kings were staunch Hindu, but they were tolerant and liberal in their outlook. They employed Muslim in the army and administration. There was no discrimination between Christian, Jewish, Muslims and Hindus. Next topic is capital city. Capital city. The magnificent capital city of Vijayanagar was developed around Hampi, a village which was considered a holy place. The city was surrounded by 7 concentric walls and its total circumference was 94 kilometers. The street was parked and well laid out. The city was adorned with garden, lakes, mansions and temples. Fresh sweet scented roses were sold in abundance. Everyone wore jewelry of diamonds, rubies, pearls, emerald was sold openly in the crowded bazaars. Next topic is literature, art and architecture. The Vijayanagar kingdom was renowned for its fine cities, magnificent palaces, strong fort and beautiful temples. The ruins of Vijayanagar at Hampi reflected the glory and grandeur of the city. The Vitlaswamy temple, Virupakha temple and the Hazar Rama temple are considered to be the finest specimens of temple architecture of period. Painting, sculptures, music and dance also made great progress during this time. The kings patronized both Sanskrit and regional literature. The growth of Telugu, Malayalam, Tamil and Kannada received a great boost during the time. Travelers like Domingo Pais from Portugal and Abdul Razak from Persia was awed by grandeur and the splendor of Vijayanagar kingdom. Next point is the Bahmani kingdom. The Bahmani kingdom. The Bahmani kingdom was established by Alauddin Hassan, an official of the Delhi Sultanate. During the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he ascended the throne under the title of Alauddin Bahman Shah in 1347. The Bahmani kingdom of Deccan was the most powerful of all the independent Muslims kingdom that rose from the ashes of the Delhi Sultanate. It stretched from Arabian Sea in the west to the Bay of Bengal in the east. It included the whole North Deccan with the river Krishna at its southern boundary. The kingdom lasted for about 2 centuries and was ruled by 18 Bahmani kings. It was often rocked by political turmoil and murdered. The political history of Bahmani kingdom revolves around the wars fought with the neighboring states of Warangal, Gujarat, Malwa and Vijayanagar. The Raichudwar was a fertile area lay between the river Krishna and the river Tungbhadra. The Raichudwar became a battle for a prolonged struggle between these two kingdoms as it was a rich source of revenue. It changed hands constantly, passing from one to another frequent and regular intervals. The conflict continued even after the Bahmani kingdom was split up into the 5 separate kingdoms. The issue was finally resolved when the kingdom of Vijayanagar was decisively defeated in the Battle of Talikota in 1565 CE. Next topic is Mahmud Gawan. The Bahmani kingdom reached the height of its power under the leadership of Mahmud Gawan, the distinguished Wazir of Mahmud Shah III. Mahmud Gawan was a competent and successful general. He greatly extended the boundaries of the kingdom and recaptured the important port of Goa from the Vijayanagar kingdom. Mahmud Gawan was a capable administrator. Under his leadership, agriculture was encouraged and promoted. As a result, the kingdom became economically prosperous. Mahmud Gawan was a learned man and a partner of learning. He was built a madrasa or college in the capital city of Bidar and donated his private collection of 3,000 books to it. He gave scholarship to poor and deserving students. Mahmud Gawan led a Spartan life. He slept on a mat, ate out of earthen vessel and used his wealth to help the poor and the needy. The chronic problem faced by the Bahmani kingdom was a conflict between the Deccani or local nobles, and the Padesi or foreign nobles. Gavan was regarded as the Padesi. The Deccani noble conspired against him as he was beheaded on the orders of the Sultan. The death of Gavan signaled the end of the Bahmani kingdom. After Gavan's death, the affairs of the Bahmani kingdom passed into the hand of Deccan nobles, and by 1527, the kingdom has disintegrated into 5 independent kingdoms, namely Berar, Bajipur, Bidar, Ahmednagar, Golconda. The 5 kingdoms were constantly at the war with one another, but united briefly to defeat the Vijayanagar kingdom in the Battle of Talikota. Next topic is achievements of the Bahmani kingdoms, and in this administration. I will tell you about administration. In theory, the last was all power, but in practice, the autocratic and absolute authority of the king depended on the strength of the army. Weak sultan were controlled by the ulmas as powerful nobles. For effective administration, the kingdom was divided into provinces and ruled over governor appointed by the sultan. The governor collected revenue, a part of which was paid to the sultan. They also supplied him with a fixed number of troops in time of war. These provincial governors were very powerful. The kingdom was very prosperous, but there was great disparity of wealth between its noble and peasant. The Bahmani rule patronized Islam. Many beautiful mosques were built in the capital of city of Gulbarg and Bidar. Madrasa and libraries were set up to promote Islamic studies. Persian and Arabic were used to quote language. The Bahmani king were great builder. The Jama Masjid at Gulbarg is a splendid building of their time. The palace and fort of Faizabad and the Chand Minar at Bidar are superb specimen of Bahmani architecture. The most outstanding building built by them is the Gol Masjid at the Bijapur, the tomb of Adil Shah of Bijapur. The Gol Gumbaz, meaning the round dome, is a simple impressive structure. Its domes has an external diameter of 44 meters and is supported by a combination of intersecting arches. The structure of a building is in the form of cube, surmounted by a large hemispherical dome which is being balanced by tall tapering minarets at each corner. Each minaret or tower has 7 stories. There is a gallery 33 meters above the pavement for which the domes rise. The fear of mighty Vijayanagar kingdom had kept the Sultan of the Deccan vigilant and alert. With the disintegration of the Vijayanagar kingdom, their fear passed. Hence, these sultans frittered away their wealth in constant warfare among themselves. Exhausted by their mutual rivalries, they become soft targets for powerful Mughal emperor of the north. Now, so students, this chapters end here. I will tell you some values and skills. A good leader is one who had tolerance for people of all religions. She give equal opportunity to all in the functioning of the government. Now, on page number 69, important words are written. Write down important words in your classwork, copy and match the column also. Students, you have to make one civics register also. Thank you. Have a nice day. We will soon meet again.